Have you ever noticed how one careless word, one rude driver, or one broken promise can ruin your whole day? It's like you wake up with good intentions, ready to keep your cool, and then, boom, someone cuts you off in traffic, or a coworker throws a sarcastic jab, and suddenly your peace is gone. It feels unfair, right? Like the world has too much control over your emotions. Here's the paradox. You can't stop people from being rude, careless, or selfish, but you can stop them from renting space in your head. And that's where Stoicism comes in. It's not about ignoring life or pretending everything is fine. It's about learning how to protect your calm, no matter what chaos shows up. Think of it like noise-canceling headphones. The noise doesn't disappear. Construction outside, the shouting, the endless interruptions. But you decide whether the noise gets in or not. That's the power you're about to discover, the ability to stay steady even when life tries to shake you. In this video, we're going to explore simple but powerful Stoic tools that can change the way you deal with irritation, frustration, and anger. We'll go from traffic jams to family drama, from petty fights to heavy disappointments. Each lesson will give you not just philosophy, but a practical step you can try the moment you finish watching. And trust me, you don't need years of study to feel the difference. These aren't abstract theories. They're strategies used by people centuries ago and still alive today because they work. By the end, you'll see that you don't have to be a prisoner of every mood, insult, or provocation. If practical wisdom content helps you, hit the like button right now because it shows this topic matters to you. And while you're at it, subscribe so you don't miss the next video. We've got even more life-changing insights on the way. Now, I'm curious, what city in the US are you watching this from? Drop it in the comments below. I love knowing where this community is tuning in from. And you might be surprised how many people are on this same journey alongside you. So are you ready to find out how to never be shaken by irritation again? Because once you see these lessons in action, you'll never look at anger the same way. There's a small moment that changes everything. It's the gap between what happens to you and how you choose to react. Most people rush through it, like drivers who slam the gas the second the light turns green. But Stoicism teaches you that this gap is your power. It's where freedom lives, and where your peace is either protected or destroyed. Think about traffic for a second. Someone cuts right in front of you, no signal, no courtesy. Your first instinct, slam the horn, yell something you wouldn't want your grandma to hear. That's stimulus and reaction collapsing into one. But if you notice that tiny pause, the gap, you realize you don't have to go there. You don't have to hand over your peace to a stranger on the road. The Stoics would say your mind is like a fortress. The outside world can throw stones, but the decision to open the gates is yours. That moment when someone disrespects you, mocks you, or pushes your buttons, it's like hearing noise on the street. You can choose whether you open the window or keep it shut, and that choice is everything. Here's an analogy. Imagine noise-canceling headphones. The sound doesn't magically disappear. The construction outside, the crying baby, the loud conversation at Starbucks, they're still there, but you decide whether that noise enters your head or not. That's what self-mastery feels like. Life is noisy, but you keep the volume down inside. Now here's a simple exercise. Next time someone tests your patience, don't fight it head on. Just pause. Literally 3 seconds. Breathe in, breathe out. Then name what you're feeling in plain English. This is anger. This is frustration. This is disrespect. By naming it, you're no longer drowning in it. You're standing on the shore, watching the waves. Science backs this up. When you slow down just a few seconds, you pull your brain out of autopilot. You give your rational mind the steering wheel again. And suddenly, instead of yelling at the guy who cut you off, you just shake your head and keep driving. You win by not losing yourself. This doesn't mean you become passive or weak. It means you protect your energy from being hijacked by random strangers, co-workers, or even family members who know exactly how to push your buttons. You're not saying, "It's fine." You're saying, "I'll decide how I respond, not you." That's the strongest position you can hold. Picture it, a deep breath, a calm face, while chaos swirls around you. The outside world might think you didn't notice, but inside, you know you won a quiet battle. You didn't let someone else write your script. You chose your line, and sometimes the most powerful words are no words at all. Here's the paradox. The moment you realize you don't have to respond, that's when you gain the freedom to respond wisely. You're not a puppet pulled by strings of anger or pride. You're the one holding the scissors, deciding which strings to cut. That's what makes you unshakable. But here's the twist. What happens when it's not strangers cutting you off in traffic, but people you actually care about? Friends, family, the ones you expect to show up when you need them. That's where the next challenge comes in. You've probably been there. You call a friend when life feels heavy and they don't answer. Not today, not tomorrow. Days pass and the silence feels louder than any words. Deep down, you expected them to show up the way you would. And when they didn't, the disappointment cut deeper than the original problem. That's the trap of expectations. They sneak in quietly, whispering that people should act, think, and care exactly like you do. But reality never signed that contract. The Stoics had a brutal way of putting it. Expecting others to behave like you is like expecting the weather to match your mood. You'll be let down every time. Here's the analogy. It's like planning a picnic without checking the forecast. You set up the blanket, open the basket, and then the storm rolls in. Whose fault is it, the clouds, or the fact that you assumed the sun would shine just because you wanted it to? That's how most of us live, emotionally drenched by storms we never prepared for. And here's the harsh truth. Expectations don't just create disappointment, they create resentment. You start telling yourself stories. If they really cared, they'd be here. If I mattered, they wouldn't disappear. But often the gap isn't malice. It's just reality not matching the movie you scripted in your head. The Stoics would say, drop the script. Stop demanding the world play the role you assigned it. Instead, face reality as it is, not as you fantasized it should be. This doesn't mean you stop hoping or trusting. It means you stop being hostage to invisible contracts no one else agreed to. Here's a phrase to keep in your pocket. Expectations are silent contracts only you sign. Every time you feel hurt because someone didn't deliver, ask yourself, did they ever sign that contract? Did they agree to it? Or was it only in my head? That question alone can dissolve so much unnecessary pain. Try this exercise. Next time you feel frustrated with someone, pause and ask, what exactly was I expecting from them? Write it down, then ask, did they ever promise that? If the answer is no, release it. That act alone can save you from so many invisible heartbreaks. Does this mean we should stop trusting people? Not at all. It means we trust wisely, with eyes open, not blindly. We replace demands with appreciation. If someone shows up, we see it as a gift, not as a debt being paid. Gratitude replaces bitterness when you stop keeping invisible scorecards. Imagine the freedom in that. Imagine walking into relationships, work, or family dinners without a list of "they should" attached to every person. Suddenly, every act of kindness feels bigger. Every moment of loyalty feels richer. You stop poisoning your peace with "why didn't they?" and start celebrating the "look what they did." But here's the catch. What happens when expectations collide with something even heavier? The need to always be right. What if your peace is stolen, not by what people failed to do, but by your own obsession to prove a point? That's where the next lesson begins. Think back to your last small argument. Maybe it was about which road is faster, or who forgot to load the dishwasher. The topic itself didn't matter, but the heat in your chest said otherwise. Why? Because it wasn't about the road or the dishes. It was about being right. And being right felt like survival. But here's the thing. Insisting on being right is like carrying a backpack full of rocks during a marathon. You think you're gaining ground by proving your point, but you're actually exhausting yourself. The weight doesn't move you forward, it drags you down. That's the cost of needing to win every little battle. Stoicism flips the script. It reminds you that peace is more valuable than victory. You can win the argument, but lose your calm. You can prove your point but poison the room. The question is, what's more important, being right in the moment or being free in the long run? Here's an analogy to picture it. Imagine a tug-of-war rope. Every time you insist on being right, you pull harder, gripping until your hands burn. But what happens if you let go? The tension disappears. You walk away lighter, while the other person falls flat from pulling against no resistance. Sometimes letting go is the real victory. Try this exercise. When you feel that urge to correct someone or prove your side, pause and ask, do I want to win or do I want to be at peace? Just changing the inner question reframes the whole situation. It gives you back the choice that ego tries to snatch away. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you choose your battles wisely. A Stoic doesn't waste their fire on every spark. They conserve their strength for what truly matters: justice, integrity, character, not whether the dishes were stacked the right way. Think about your relationships. How many silent walls are built not from betrayal, but from constant petty fights over nothing? Couples, siblings, co-workers. So many bonds die, not from grand betrayals, but from tiny wars fought in the name of being right. The burden grows heavier until love and trust suffocate under it. Now picture a different path. Imagine choosing silence in a moment where your pride screams to speak. Imagine walking away with your calm intact instead of your voice raised. That's not weakness, it's strategy. You protected your peace, and in doing so, you protected the relationship too. The paradox is clear. Sometimes you gain more by losing. You let go of the need to win, and suddenly you win your freedom back. You stop dragging around the stones of pride and start walking lighter, calmer, stronger. That's the strength the Stoics meant when they spoke of self-control. But here's the next twist. What if the fight isn't about dishes or traffic, but about who you are? What happens when your very identity feels attacked by someone's words? That's where the next lesson strikes even deeper. Picture this. You're in a meeting, sharing an idea you've worked on for weeks. Suddenly, someone drops a cruel comment, maybe even wrapped in a laugh, and the room shifts. People glance, some chuckle, and inside, your confidence collapses. It feels like one sentence rewrote your worth. But here's the truth. Your identity doesn't live in their mouths. You are not the words someone else chooses to throw at you. Stoicism reminds us, insults are only as powerful as the permission we give them. If you don't hand over the key, their words can't enter your house. It's like giving out your phone password to a stranger. The moment you do, you've surrendered control over what's private, valuable, and truly yours. Opinions work the same way. When you let cruel remarks define you, you've given your password to your peace. Here's the shift. Not every opinion deserves the weight of truth. Some words are constructive, meant to sharpen you. Others are just noise, meant to wound. The Stoic move is to separate one from the other, accept feedback that builds, reject attacks that poison. Think of Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, constantly surrounded by criticism, gossip, even betrayal. If he had let every insult define him, Rome itself would have crumbled. Instead, he treated slander as background noise. He knew his worth wasn't built on whispers, but on actions. Try this exercise. When you hear a cutting remark, ask yourself, is this a mirror or is this mud? A mirror shows you something real you can improve. Mud is just thrown to make you dirty. If it's a mirror, learn. If it's mud, wipe it off and keep walking. This doesn't mean words won't sting. Of course they do, we're human. But stinging doesn't have to mean scarring. The sting fades when you refuse to let it settle in your skin. And the more you practice, the faster you'll heal from verbal cuts. Imagine standing calm in that same meeting, smiling slightly, responding with composure or even silence. While others expect you to shrink, you hold steady. In that moment, you've taken back power. You've shown that their opinion can knock, but it won't move in. Here's the paradox. You can't stop people from talking, but you can stop their words from walking into your heart. That's where real strength lives, not in controlling their mouths, but in guarding your own soul. But what happens when it's not about words at all? When it's about the invisible lines you fail to draw, and life begins to drain you because you never say no? That's where the next lesson hits with even more force. Think back to the last time you said yes, when every part of you wanted to say no. Maybe it was a coworker asking for just a little help, or a family member who always assumes your time is theirs. You nodded, smiled, and carried the weight, but inside you felt drained, almost resentful. That's what happens when we live without boundaries. We spread ourselves thin until exhaustion becomes our baseline. The Stoics weren't people-pleasers. They believed in aligning actions with values, not in bending endlessly to avoid discomfort. Every time you say yes without meaning it, you abandon yourself a little. Here's the analogy. Even the most beautiful garden turns into mud when there are no fences. Without borders, weeds take over, flowers drown, and what was once life-giving becomes chaos. Your time, your energy, your peace, they are that garden. Boundaries are the fences that keep them alive. But here's the tricky part. Most of us think saying no makes us selfish. In reality, it makes us sustainable. You can't pour into others if you're running on fumes. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're doors that help you decide who gets to come in and when. Try this exercise. Come up with one short phrase of refusal you can actually use. Something simple, respectful, but firm. Like, I'd love to help, but tomorrow works better. Or, I need to rest tonight, but let's connect later. You'll be surprised how powerful a single practiced line can feel. The first time you say it, your chest might tighten. You'll fear judgment, disappointment, or conflict, but with practice, you'll notice something shocking. Most people simply adjust. The world doesn't collapse, and you walk away lighter, standing taller, because you honored your own limits. Think of boundaries as invisible armor. Nobody sees them, but they protect you in every interaction. They signal to others and to yourself that your time and energy have value. And when you consistently enforce them, people begin to respect you more, not less. Stoicism isn't about shutting people out. It's about choosing wisely how you engage. Marcus Aurelius still carried the weight of an empire, but he knew the value of retreating into his inner citadel. You deserve the same, moments and limits that protect your inner life from being overrun. And here's the paradox. The stronger your boundaries, the more genuine your yes becomes. Because when you say it, you'll mean it. You'll give from a place of strength, not exhaustion. That kind of giving multiplies instead of draining. But what happens when, even with boundaries, you're provoked in public? When someone tests your composure in a way that feels humiliating and all eyes are on you? That's when another hidden power of Stoicism comes into play. Picture this. You're in a meeting and someone tries to provoke you. Maybe it's a sarcastic remark. Maybe it's a challenge designed to embarrass you. The room gets quiet, waiting for your explosion. Your heart pounds, your mouth is ready to fire back, and then you do something shocking. You say nothing. Silence has a power most people underestimate. Anger is like fire. It burns, it spreads, it consumes. But silence is water. It cools, it calms, and often it extinguishes the flames before they catch. In a culture that worships quick comebacks, silence becomes the move no one expects. Think about it. When you snap back in rage, the other person wins. They pulled you out of yourself, wrote your script, and watched you perform it. But when you stay calm and quiet, you flip the script. They swing and miss, they look small while you stand unshaken. Here's the analogy. Silence is like pouring water on a spark. The spark could turn into a fire that burns the whole room down, but your choice drowns it before it grows. You don't lose by saying nothing. You win by not feeding the flames. Try this exercise. Next time you feel provoked, don't answer right away. Count to 5 in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In those seconds, notice your breath, notice your body, notice the urge to react. Then choose. Maybe you respond calmly, maybe you don't respond at all, but it's your choice now. This doesn't mean you let disrespect slide forever. Stoicism isn't about passivity, it's about timing. Silence buys you space, it gives you control. And when you finally do respond, your words carry weight, because they come from clarity, not from chaos. Think of professional athletes. The best players don't react to every foul with fury. They breathe, refocus, and save their energy for the real play. Your life works the same way. Not every push deserves a punch. Some deserve nothing but calm silence. Imagine the room again. Someone takes a jab at you. Everyone watches, expecting fireworks. Instead, you pause, smile faintly, maybe sip your water and move on. The provoker looks desperate for attention, but you deny them the oxygen. That's how silence turns into dominance. And here's the paradox. Silence often says more than words ever could. It tells the world, I am in control. It proves you're untouchable without needing to declare it. It's not weakness, it's mastery. But then comes the hardest part. What about the grudges you carry inside, the pain you replay long after the moment has passed? You may win in silence on the outside, but inside, you still burn. That's where the final lesson arrives. Holding on to anger feels powerful at first. You replay the words, the betrayal, the scene that cut deep. You think the grudge keeps you strong, like a weapon you'll use later. But really, it's more like gripping a burning coal. The longer you hold it, the more it burns you, not them. The Stoics saw this clearly. They knew resentment is a slow poison, eaten at night and carried into the morning. You think you're punishing the other person, but the truth is you're punishing yourself over and over. Letting go isn't about excusing them, it's about freeing you. Here's the analogy. Imagine a balloon in your hand, tied tight with a string. You carry it everywhere, bumping into walls, struggling to move freely. Then one day you just open your hand. The balloon floats up and you walk lighter. That's the art of release. Try this exercise. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, then exhale slowly. As you breathe out, picture releasing the weight you've been carrying, the anger, the disappointment, the story you keep replaying. Do it again. With each exhale, imagine yourself lighter. This isn't theory. Your body feels it in real time. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to chain yourself to the past. You can acknowledge the pain, even remember the lesson, without dragging the bitterness forward into every new moment. You honor yourself by refusing to carry what's no longer yours. Think about it. How many days, months, even years of your life have been colored by grudges you couldn't release? How many smiles stolen? How many nights ruined, not by the event itself, but by your grip on it? Letting go is like unlocking a cell you never realized you had the key to. The Stoics often compared life to a play. People come and go, roles change, scripts shift. You can't stop others from exiting early or saying their lines badly, but you can choose how you play your part. Holding grudges is like refusing to leave the stage when your scene is done. Now imagine yourself without that weight. Imagine walking into a new day without yesterday's chains clinking behind you. That lightness isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the courage to stop punishing yourself for what someone else did. And here's the paradox. By letting go, you gain. You gain space, clarity, freedom. You gain the ability to love again, to trust again, to live again. Because the hands that cling to bitterness are too full to hold peace. But this raises the final, most important question. How do you weave all these lessons? Pause, expectations, humility, identity, boundaries, silence, release, into a life you actually live every day? That's where the conclusion brings everything together. So here's the big takeaway. Life will always test you. Drivers will cut you off. Friends will let you down. Family will say things that sting. But every single time, you have a choice. You can hand over your peace, or you can hold it like the treasure it is. That's the true heart of Stoicism. Not controlling the world, but mastering yourself. Remember the space between stimulus and response. That pause is your freedom. Remember that expectations are silent contracts you never signed. Remember that needing to be right can weigh more than the problem itself. And remember that no insult, no opinion, no cruel remark ever has the power to define you unless you hand over the keys. Boundaries, silence, letting go. These aren't just nice ideas. They're daily practices, invisible fences that protect your energy. quiet choices that turn anger into calm, small releases that make your steps lighter. Each one is a tool you can use today, not someday. And now I want to ask you, where do you struggle the most? Is it holding your tongue when someone provokes you? Is it saying no when you're already exhausted? Or is it letting go of old grudges that still burn in your chest? Share your answer in the comments. You'll see you're not alone, and your words might even help someone else watching. If you found this helpful, hit the like button. It tells me to keep bringing you this kind of wisdom. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. I won't promise you a set schedule, but I can promise you each video will give you something practical, something real, something that sticks. At the end of the day, peace is a choice, not a gift, not luck, not something someone else can give you. It's yours to protect, yours to practice, yours to live. And once you realize that, irritation loses its power and calm becomes your strongest weapon. So ask yourself one last question. Tomorrow morning, when the world tests you again, will you react on impulse or will you choose the freedom of response?